thing that gets me is that people that come to me, they always say, Marla Gibbs. They say my whole name. They don't say Marla, they say Marla Gibbs. I say, yeah. And they say, they all want a hug. I have to have a hug. I'm a hugger. So I give them a hug.
With nearly 5 decades of making the world laugh through her memorable characters ranging from the Jeffersons to 227 and even Scandal, Marla Gibbs remains a household name around the globe and a living legend. I'm Michael Reel, and this is Real Urban News. We sat down with Miss Gibbs for an exclusive conversation.
What was it like being on the Jeffersons, and what were some of your favorite moments?
Oh my God. Jeffersons, we did 200 shows.
Wow.
A couple of my favorites are the one with Billy D. Williams, which has become a classic, and the Aunt Jemima show. And then the one that Ned Werner and I did as Mr. and Mrs. Willis. So there was so many.
What was George like, the character? And the
George
actor?
was an introvert. But on camera, he was an extrovert. I remember when we first did something, and we were in rehearsal, and I said, God, is that all he's going to give me? And the camera came on, and George was gone. I said, oh, okay. So he'd come in sometimes, he said, Merle, I don't know my lines. I said, yes, you do. He said, no, I didn't start. I said, yes, you do. I said, your mind took a picture of them when we first read them. They're in there. They can't come out because you keep saying you don't remember. I said, just say, I know my lines. I said, when I say something that makes sense to respond. I said, and when your lips stop moving, I'll say something. Mm-hmm. So he said, I knew that. So I was thinking about something today. I was playing Mrs. Jefferson, and I was out on this date with this guy who hadn't seen her for a long time. And so he was calling me Louise, and so Sherman had showed up. And when he went through my chair, he said, may I? George said, no, you mayn't. That was something he made up. He always came up with stuff which was fun. Mm-hmm. And he was very generous. Sure. He had to be generous to allow me to hit him. He had set me up so I could hit him. Uh-huh. And he delighted in setting me up.
And you all did that for almost a decade.
We did.
Over a decade. And then you went on to do 227.
Right. And he went on to do Amen.
Right, that was a big show.
Right.
Yeah. You all were stars.
We were working actors. The stars are in the sky.
Uh-huh. What was 227 like?
Oh, that was not the same as the Jeffersons, because the whole cast was like a family on the Jeffersons. But Regina was just like my real child. Mm-hmm. Curtis Baldwin was a kid in the neighborhood.
Sure.
And my daughter, when we had a workshop, called Crossroads Arts Academy.
Yes, I remember that.
And he was working, she brought him down to work behind the scenes. And we were doing the play once, and she went backstage, and they were all holding the thing up because it was falling. They were scared to move. And so my son started working with Curtis. And when we sold it as a TV show, we had him come in and read for it. And they liked him. So he had a fresh quality about him.
Sure.
So he was in the show. And Sonia was also one who did our workshop. And she was in the play. She played my daughter in the play. But she was a little older, so that's why they hired Regina. Mm-hmm. Besides, Regina looked like him.
Right.
They had the same color eyes, the same sandy hair. So she looked like she could really be his daughter. So we got Regina. And Sonia now has become a writer and wrote for NCIS.
Wow.
And she did we told everybody in the play they'd have a chance to guest on 227. So Rosalie Hooks played Sandra's part. And so we got a chance to bring her on as Sandra's sister in the show. So that was very, very happy with all that stuff.
Seemed like you all took care of each other.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, take care of each other. If an actor came on, I remember on the Jeffersons, we had Honey Coles come, who I was a fan of, tap dancer. And he was having trouble with the script. And I said, let me work with him. Or we sent somebody over to work with him. Well, the next thing you know, they put their arm around him and took him off, and he disappeared. I said, that'll never happen again. So it never happened on 227. They had a cute little girl that came in, and she was so excited. She came from Wisconsin, and she had told everybody she's on 227. They said, well, we got another little actress, and we want you to come look at her. I said, no, I can't look at her. I said, we have the actor. They said, but she's weak. I said, she'll be fine. I said, you're not going to take this girl off the show. She told everybody in Wisconsin she's on the show.
Sure.
So I just took her in my dressing room and worked on the scene, told her how to open the door. There's a way you open the door so that you're angled just right so they can see. Otherwise, you end up doing this if you're not careful. So you got to open so you're out and the other person is out, and the camera sees both of us. So I showed her how to do that, and I told her, I said, now listen, you are a starstruck. You're looking at Curtis and them, and you're so excited to be in the scene with them, but you're messing up. You can't laugh at their jokes. You are serious. You're being paid to tutor them, and we're in the kitchen, and we're listening to you, so you can't let them mess up your gig. So you get serious with them. So she did the job. She was fine. You just can't take people off without giving them an opportunity, you know.
You're known for your work in television, but take us back when you were in the black exploitation films. And what was that time like in history for you?
You thought you were in the big business. I mean, we didn't call it black exploitation. It got a name for that, but we called it, we were in a movie. And Sweet Jesus Preacher Man, I was working in the theater in Mafundi. We were studying, my daughter and I were taking classes at Mafundi. And we heard about, they were shooting this movie. And we went, well, first of all, I had to go to the DMV in Hollywood. And across the street, I heard they were filming. So I went across the street, my girlfriend and I, we were just gung-ho. We walked in, asked them what they were doing, and told them we were working at Mafundi and they should come down to see our class, and they did.
Those days, those early days, how did they nurture your career?
Everything we got to do was exciting, and the whole play community would come out and support you, and you got to know everybody. So I started there, and then we wanted to see if we were as good as the people in Margaret Avery's workshop, the Zodiac Theater. They had won the, I don't know what they call the award now, I forget, but the theater award. They got that for Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie?
That's a good title if nothing else.
And Clint Eastwood had come down to see the play, and he picked Margaret off the stage. And Gabby. And so that was all the big news, that he had come down and this workshop and how exciting it was. So we went to see Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie, and it was really good. So I joined that workshop and I did 2 or 3 plays there. Ted Langer was there also. And that's when I heard about the Jeffersons audition. Then I went out to try for the Jeffersons. And the rest, of course, is history.
We ain't rabble rousers. We're just trying to get our fair share.
And who might you be?
I might be Florence.
Oh, yes, the Jefferson maid.
Not maid, household technician.
Listening to you talk, it sounds like that time in those plays, in those workshops, was a time where you and your colleagues and your friends and your family, you all supported each other.
And of course that was big for us because coming from Detroit at that time, I didn't know anything about theater there. So it was like stepping into a whole nother world.
When did you realize you wanted to be an actress?
Well, I always wanted to be an actress. I always loved movies, and I kind of lived in the movies. I remember seeing Joan Crawford in Possessed, and at the end of the movie, I couldn't get on the bus. I had to walk because I was still in the movie.
You were still Joan Crawford.
I was still going through this. And then there was another one called Biscuit Eater with a dog that got shot. And all my friends, whenever anything happened, they would look for me because they know I'd be crying. They'd look over to see if I was crying. I'd be trying not to. But I was darn near hollering in the theater when they shot the dog. That was my dog, you see. So it's always been a very rewarding experience for me.
We were talking off camera and just reading over your work and your bio. You have a lot of Marla Gibbs isms. And it's highly noted that you kept your regular employ while you were
Yeah, I
acting.
was working with United Airlines. I'd been there over 10 years. I'd been there 11 years to be exact. And I had unlimited passes. Now, you don't just give that up.
That's a tough one to give up.
Because you got a job on a TV show. I was just a guest.
What was the show like, being on the Jeffersons?
Oh, it was great. The whole cast was great. And it was my first show. So I didn't really understand how things went. So at the table read, as we read, the actors get up and go sit down, and the producers and the directors stay at the table and they work on the script. Well, I wanted to know what they were talking about, so I stayed at the table. So the actors were looking at me. I knew what they were looking at. But I wasn't interested in going where they were going. I was interested in what these people were going to do. So after a while, I started interrupting. Excuse me, black people don't talk like that. And of course, it was a new show, so they were interested in what I had to say.
Sure.
So that ended up with all the actors being asked to stay at the table and getting our input, which made sense,
Right.
before you go off to rewrite. Because you rewrite something, the actors talking about, look what they gave me. They're complaining, but they don't do anything. But now you got a chance to say what your character, my character would never say that, Do different things, like I said, so-and-so would say that, I would never say that. And then I paid attention to what the writers were doing. The exec producers were Nichols, Ross, and West.
Right.
And Don Nicholl was from England, and I could see he was the head writer. So I would pay attention to what he was doing, and then I'd work on the script myself. If they took a joke that I thought was funny and took it out and put something else in, I'd go to him, I said, you took this joke out, this was funnier than this one. He said, I know, but we couldn't figure out how to make that work. I said, well, look, if you give this to her and you change this to this, he said, let me see that. So we started doing that, and he started paying attention to whatever I had to say, which was very nice.
Sure.
So he became my ally. He'd come and ask me sometimes, what would you say here? And just off to the side, I would never do it in front of people,
Right.
And so it became very, very fun and very gratifying for me to be working on that show.
And those talents, because you stayed at the table for the table read and the post-table read, you use those skills to produce, executive produce 227. It served you well.
I never got credit as exec producer for 227.
Sure.
I got all rights, courtesies, and privileges, which they didn't think I would use, but I used every one of them. I would rewrite, I would go to editing, I would do everything I could, because it was very important to me that the show be exactly what I wanted it to be. And sometimes writers write the way writers write. It's not the way people speak all the time. And every race has a rhythm. Jewish people have a way that they speak. Asian have a way that they speak. And Jewish people usually punch everything. Black people just throw it. They say the whole sentence, throw it away. And my grandma would say, if you don't move from them, I'm not going to. Just the whole thing. And you understood it. Even if she didn't say it out loud, you understood what she was saying.
Sure. What would you say the rhythm, and that's using your phrase, your term, what's the rhythm of Black Hollywood today in the 21st century?
Black Hollywood, you have more people speaking the way Black people speak because the rappers have come on the scene and just kind of taken over.
Sure.
Which was really incredible. I was watching Snoop Dogg out on the golf course with one of the CEOs, and they're imitating him for shizzle, huh? Snoop, and then, yeah. I said, this is really funny. And now he's with Martha Stewart. I mean, you would never think that.
What do you attribute your success to?
God mostly, but my faith and my perseverance. I just always feel, even when I'm not thinking about it, I make a statement that I want to do that. I'll say, I like that show, I think I want to do that show. Then I'll let it go. But it'll come, it'll appear. It's what you send into the universe responds to you. But you don't say, oh, I can never do that, because then you can never do that. But you say, I can do that, I want to do that. I never say I need to do that, because you don't need anything, you have everything you need. God said, I gave you everything you need. And when you use your faith, people come, they don't know why they're coming.
Sure.
I used to get in my car, I always say, when I get in the car, thank you, Christ Spirit, for going ahead of me, making my way safe, trafficless, ticketless, on time, and I would like parking closer. And the police would be on the freeway, and suddenly they go off, and I said, they probably say, why are we going off here? Because I set you off. This is Miles Davis. One of his first, as you can see, it says Miles D. This is Picasso. It shows all the different colors of man. The white, the black man, the yellow man, the red man, and the dove, dance of peace. And all those colors I realized were in Miles Davis's paintings. So this is also Miles Davis.
And this is a family business for you. Your son's in production, your daughter's an actress, an acting coach. You're clearly
When you're in something that's lucrative and fun and like the business of acting, you naturally want to bring your children in if they have any talent. You want to try to get them to study and work. My daughter and I came up together. As a matter of fact, she was on TV before I was. She was on Sanford and Son.
wow.
And I was in Sweet Jesus Preacher Man, dressing in the basement of a church, and she had a trailer. I was saying, oh. And then she starred in a film called The Young Nurses, and she was in Cleopatra Jones. So that was big to us.
Talk about your time on Scandal. How did that happen?
Probably looking at TV saying I'd like to do that show.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk to young actors and young actresses, what do you tell them about being consistent and making it?
First of all, you can't tell them about making it. I tell them what I did was a different time. I'm a different person. You're a different person. What I would say to you, if you want to be an actress, do the work. Study, be serious, be consistent, and have the faith and the patience. Because it doesn't happen all the time when you want it to. But if you keep going, I say nothing is perfect, so you can't be a perfect flop.
Mm-hmm.
You keep going, you're bound to get one. But I can't tell you one out of what. But one out of something, you get one.
You get one, you stay at it.
Right.
You stay at it. What's your hope for this business of entertainment as we kind of escalate and continue to move through the 21st century?
Well, I hope that we recognize all the progress we have made. and not just focus on what we haven't done and what is yet to do. I'm looking at a show like This Is Us,
Sure.
and it has all the qualities in it. You have a white family adopting a black child because they lost a child and raising him up with their children just like he's their real child. And that's what we are. We're all one. Under God, we're all God in expression, and we're all one. We all have the same experiences. What we learned is we need a kidney transplant. Somebody white can give us a kidney. We never understood that before. They give us a heart.
Sure.
So our body parts are interchangeable. So we need to get off of the differences and celebrate the like qualities, you know.
That's important.
Yeah, because we are one. We are all one.